Olympic sports in Dragon Ball. You ever watch Dragon Ball and realize just how many Olympic sports are in this series? With the Olympic cycle going on right now, Paris 24 that is, I want to go over all the Olympic sports, well, maybe not all, but a heck of a lot of them I noticed in the series. And what better place to start than martial arts itself? Martial arts is the basis of Dragon Ball. Various forms of martial arts are used in the series, ranging from kung fu to judo to boxing, even fencing if you consider that a martial arts. It's what this series was based on. A lot of the kung fu movies that Dragon Ball was inspired by, such as Drunken Master, a lot of the Bruce Lee movies, Enter the Dragon, things of that nature. Even the two prototypes for Dragon Ball were based on martial arts. It's a huge part of the series. Almost every main character knows martial arts. It's almost like a prerequisite at this point. You know, Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, all these characters, Krillin, Gohan, Roshi, all these characters know martial arts. It's such an integral part of Dragon Ball that it's a no-brainer that martial arts would be number one on this list of the various Olympic sports seen in Dragon Ball. Obviously, the most prominent martial art in Dragon Ball would be Kung Fu, seen by many characters in the series. Gymnastics, it's kind of in that same category, but you see Goku doing a lot of gymnastics with his tail. Many characters do gymnastics in the show. It's just a huge part of Dragon Ball, with the characters being as athletic as they are. Track and field, otherwise known as athletics. So this stems early on in Roshi's training of Goku and Kuririn, where the Muten Roshi had Goku, Kuririn, and himself run 100-meter dashes, all in sequential order, with Kuririn going first. So now, the world record at this time when this chapter released, June 11th, 1985, the world record in the 100-meter dash was 9.93 set by Calvin Smith. So I just want to compare all their hundreds versus his. Kuririn would have ran his first in 10.4 seconds. This probably would have been enough to get into the Olympic trials and even make it to the finals, but there's no way he would have broken the world record. He actually would have been the fastest woman in the world if he was a woman, because Flojo's world record, even up to this day, is only 10.49, while Kuririn ran at 10.4. But Krillin actually claims his personal best is 10.1. And then in a funny bit, when he goes into the house to grab the Kame Sennin a beer, he comes running out after lunch, sneezes again, and his time after that was 8.8 seconds. So, yeah, he's pretty fast too. Goku's next up. He ran his 100 in 11 seconds flat. But because of a broken shoe, he was allowed to run again. And this time he would run a 100 in 8.5 seconds, which is hilarious because not a single 100-meter time as of right now is even close to that. But Goku's time in a 4x1 would actually make sense, as this year Andre DeGrasse of Canada anchored his team to a gold in the 4x100 with a split time of 8.89. Take those split times with a grain of salt. And then the Turtle Hermit, Kame Sennin, destroyed them both with a time of 5.6. That's faster than a cheetah. And check this out. Tom Brady runs the 40-yard dash in 5.2 seconds. Roshi just ran the 100-meter dash in 5.6 seconds. If you do a conversion from the 1 to the 40, you get 2.33 seconds. So by the time an NFL player has reached 20 yards, he's already done. Wow. Also, here's a little side note. In Toriyama's chapter notes, he mentioned that he was going to Bali. So depending on the release of this chapter, that might have actually happened around a few weeks earlier. Obviously, his trip to Bali is what would inspire the architecture for the Tenkaichi Budokai, otherwise known as the World's Martial Arts Tournaments. So there. I also want to point out different track and field events that were seen in Dragon Ball, just not as overtly as the 100 was. Later on in the Red Ribbon Army arc, Goku, Krillin, and Bulma are searching for a Dragon Ball in a pirate cave, and they come across some traps. This takes place in episode 50, chapter 74, and Goku has to long jump over the traps, and he tries to get Bulma and Kuririn to do the same, but obviously Goku's got some special talents. He'd be a world record holder in real life, that's for sure. Bulma even says that Goku's jump here was over 20 meters. And 20 meters to feet is 65.62 feet. This would obviously break the world record at only 29.4 feet, set in 1991. Also want to point out how Goku throws the Genki Dama, otherwise known as the Spirit Bomb, in movie 2 against Dr. Guido, it almost looks like he's throwing a shot put. Also, if you want to check out more spirit bombs, I made a video on it. Click the upper right tab in the corner to check it out. And the last track and field event I want to mention is discus. So later on in Dragon Ball GT, actually the end of Dragon Ball GT, Yi Xinglong, otherwise known as the One-Star Dragon, he was called Omega Shenron in the dub, but that doesn't make any sense, is fighting Goku. And this is after Goku was blinded by the 4-Star Dragon. So the 1-Star Dragon uses that to his advantage. He takes a clock from a clock tower, like the one in Back to the Future, right? The clock tower. He takes that clock, starts spinning it, and then he just tosses it at Goku at full speed. Goku catches it, and it even starts burning in the hands. I always thought this was a cool visual. It looked so awesome to me every time I see it. Yeah, that's pretty much all of track and field. There are more instances of track and field in Dragon Ball, but those are the main ones that I just wanted to point out for y'all. Number 3, volleyball. So this is funny. This is quite strange. There's 2 instances of volleyball in Dragon Ball. The first comes from Tenshinhan's fight against Goku in the 20-second tournament. In this fight, Tenshinhan, otherwise known as Tien, uses a volleyball technique, serving up Goku and spiking him on the mat. Yeah, Frieza actually does something similar to this to Goku during their fight on Namek, but it's much more frantic and chaotic. It's also anime-only filler in Dragon Ball Z, but that doesn't really matter. It still shows up in Dragon Ball. Gotenks is the next character to use volleyball in Dragon Ball, and his is called Boo Boo Boribor. That's Japanese. It makes much more sense when you say it like that, because the B's and V's are interchangeable, or I guess they just use B for the V sound. But when you say it in English, it's Boo Boo Volleyball. This is obviously the technique where Gotenks uses Boo as a volleyball and gets Piccolo to join in on spiking Boo like a volleyball. Baseball, that's the next sport I want to mention. Baseball is actually reinstated as an Olympic sport this year in 2024, most associated with Yamcha and Dragon Ball Z filler, and also Dragon Ball Super, that one episode where Yamcha was the expert of the group, getting the entire cast to play baseball against him with Universe 6 in there as well. Basketball is also in Dragon Ball Super's manga with Trunks playing it. There's also clips of basketball in Dragon Ball GT. These next sports aren't overtly stated like the last few, but they do occur in Dragon Ball. There's some golf after the Namekians arrive on Earth, after the wish is made to return them to life. They play against Bulma's dad, or with Bulma's dad, inside his compound. Shooting, skeet, sniping, or whatever you want to call it, that appears in Dragon Ball. Archery, things of that nature. Just small sports that, would occur in Dragon Ball because of the nature of Dragon Ball. It's an action manga anime, so things like that would appear in Dragon Ball. And the last one I want to go over is swimming. So there's a lot of fun swimming scenes in Dragon Ball. The first chapter episode, Goku swims underwater to grab fish, right? Goku also swims to the 20-second tournament in one of my favorite segments of Dragon Ball. That little time period there is a pretty cool time in Dragon Ball. Also, Vegeta and Gohan swimming on Namek, right, to get the Dragon Ball. Vegeta getting pissed off, his rage exploding. And then Goku himself also swam for a little bit on Namek against Frieza when he fired off those 2 Kamehamehas underwater. Also, if you want to see more videos on Kamehamehas, I made a video on every Kamehameha in Dragon Ball. You can check it out in the upper right corner. That's pretty much all for this video. I will be making more videos in the coming weeks. How'd you like these Olympic sports in Dragon Ball? Tell me down below in the comments, what's your favorite Olympic sport? What was the highlight of this year's Summer Olympics? You know what I'm saying? What other Olympic sports would you like to see in Dragon Ball? Would you want to compete in the Olympics? And are you an Olympian yourself? Share that in the comments below. Enjoy the Olympics. Check out more of my videos. And that's all I got for you. See ya.